So sickle cell is definitely a blood disease. Typical day, I will say, there's never really a day that we can say that we're pain free. The word pain free is not something that we can honestly say. However, people with sickle cell, they've lived with this all their lives. Sickle cell warriors have a good way of kind of keeping things inside. We're living with sickle cell, but we're just living with it. It's not who we are.
Welcome back to another episode of the Do Say Be Breakthrough podcast, where today I have the distinct honor and privilege with sitting with this man right here. For the first time, let's just call it as my first virtual recording, so be kind if something doesn't go quite right. Be patient.
Mhm.
Give me grace, okay?
Oh
So
yeah.
today I'm sitting with Frank James. He is nephew, husband, father, brother, uncle, son, cousin, dear friend. He runs the gamut. We're talking today about a very interesting topic. I would say a very sensitive topic. And he graciously agreed to just sit and talk with us for a little bit today. It's not structured. It's a conversation and it's edifying to me and hopefully it's edifying to you as well. So Frank has been living with sickle cell his entire life. And I know that many of us have heard sickle cell, but we really and truly don't know what it is. And even if you were to go on Google or WebMD, they'll give you the textbook definition. But what I think is really, really important for us is to really talk with someone who's lived with it their entire life to see what that's like. Because surface level, we may not really understand the magnitude of what that means, but even more so as he's interacting with others, and as he's been a role model to others, I think it would be really great for him to just share some information with us today. So, with that, let's just start off bare bones and just explain to us layman's terms, what is sickle cell and what does it feel like living with it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So sickle cell is definitely a blood disease. It's hereditary. You get it by having two parents with the trait or disease. There's a few other variations, but we won't get into that. But pretty much, you have two parents with the trait, and it has a possibility of your child getting the sickle cell disease. It affects the red blood cells. It affects how it carries oxygen. The word sickle actually came about because of how the cell is shaped. It's shaped in like a little sickle form. Those cells are very, they're not as bouncy, they're not as free flowing as a regular red blood cell. So the complications is it doesn't carry um, oxygen well enough to go through our bodies, and it also comes times where it will, get blocked in certain areas of your body where they all just kind of clump together, and that is what they will call the sickle cell crisis, where you're just going through, pain during that time. Also, you might not have as much energy as other people may have, um, and also other complications down the line. But definitely to start off, it is a debilitating blood disease that affects your red blood cells. Little known fact for people is it actually started as a mutation in Africa, where the body just so happened to mutate itself to prevent malaria. And that mutation during years and years of down the line, it helped some people not get malaria, but that is because of sickle cell. So the mutation, is the sickle cell anemia. So on
Wow.
one side, you won't get malaria, but you have sickle cell. And I believe from what I was told, and a professional doctor can probably go into more detail of it, but it all started as a mutation from people from contracting malaria. over time.
I did not know that. And to be
Yeah,
quite honest, I just thought it was a fluke. The cell is just not shaped normally. So in my non-scientific mind, it just means it doesn't carry enough oxygen, right? But
yeah,
to know that it seems as though it's the body's defense. It's a way the body tries to protect itself. So in some environment, yay, but then in
yes,
others,
right,
not worth celebrating.
right.
So did you feel where you are right now in your adult years, do you experience sickle cell symptoms the same way as you experienced it when you were a child?
Um, Good question. It really has changed, to be honest, and you know, I've heard it going both ways. In my personal experience, as a child, I did get sick many times. I've actually had more episodes as I got older. Um, so I would say elementary school, middle, high school, college. I've had somewhat of a more of a normal lifestyle
Mhm.
without as many episodes. But as I got older, it just became more and more in my situation where I've heard children, as early as 1, 2 years old that can barely move anymore and that are really, really going through it, going through some hard times at a very early age. So my heart goes out to those people and the parents of people that have children going through that because it is a situation where nothing they can do can help.
I know a woman in my networking endeavors. She has a daughter who's been living with it for years as well. And I remember what she said held her daughter was living in different climates. Do you find that heat or cold affects it or triggers any kind of an episode?
Definitely, I've felt that recently. That was something that was definitely a situation where as a kid, I was told that tropical areas are better, with carrying sickle cell, and as you know, I made the trip to up north to where there's more seasons and much colder climates, and I will say that the colder weather can be an effect to it. It can it kind of can cause you to be having crisis episodes,
Mhm.
but not saying that the hot weather can't cause it either. Being in the heat can cause a lot of perspiration, and with that goes with losing a lot of hydration and being dehydrated, and
Mm.
that definitely can cause an episode as well. So,
Oh, wow.
but I will say the cold weather, you can feel it. You can feel it all over. So
Oh,
it's best to
man.
kind of stay as warm as you can during those times, and quick change of weather is the real thing that we have to be careful of. Um, some areas, of course, where I live now, I've had 70-degree weather today, and tomorrow's 30. So in those situations, you have to be very careful and keep a constant temperature about you. So it's just something else that we have to have in our minds.
When you look back at your childhood, do you feel that you were limited in some of the activities or events that other kids had the benefit of attending or participating in?
Uh, I definitely, uh, I definitely felt it. Part of it came from, of course, my mom being a caring mom. She heard all the horror stories, so she was very protective of me. And there's a lot of things that I personally want to do, and she just flat out would say, I don't think you should do it. It might make you sick, so you're not doing it. Watching Karate Kid as a child, I was like, I want to go, I want to do karate, right? I want to do the Bruce Lee action there, and the Last Dragon was one of my favorites too. Barry Gordy's Last Dragon
Oh,
was one of
wow.
my favorites, and from there I said I want to do karate, and she was like, no, it's definitely not something to do. Um, but that was just her being protective. Now, to be honest with you, there was a lot of things that I was told I couldn't do as a child that I did do.
Like what? Share some with us.
So, in the early stages, it being I was very involved in school.
Mhm.
So from as long as I can remember it, in elementary school, I was a safety patrol kid. I was the president of student council. Middle school, high school, I was in the marching band, playing instruments and going down parades. And we're talking about 2 mile parades. Parades where I had a drum strapped to me for almost 2 miles, and I was fine
You
playing
got
my music. And to go a little bit older than that, in my early 20s, I always had a fixation on trying to build my body and look stronger. As any young man probably would.
of
And
course.
that was something that I was told, no, that's a no no. You can't do it. And I do have to give credit to one of my very close friends to this day, and um, he probably gave me bad advice at that point, but I'm glad he did.
One kid to another. What do you mean bad advice?
Right. Because well, at that time we were early 20s, but he was a physical trainer. He
Okay.
trained many athletes, and I was telling him the situation that I would love to go to the gym and work out, and I was like, but I can't. He said, why not? And I told him the situation, and he just said, listen, I'm here with you. If anything happens, I got you. If anything, just drink a lot of water, hydrate yourself as you're going around. And to be honest, I did that. And from, I would say, 21 all the way to 32, I was a gym rat. And I'm talking 2 to 3 days, sometimes 5 days a week in a gym. Um, and that definitely gave me the encouragement that I needed, that I could do anything.
I mean, here, so what I didn't share with you guys is that not only do I have such high respect and regard for this man, nothing has held him back. He's an entrepreneur. He's constantly pursuing some new endeavor. Nothing holds him back. What I also want to say, he doesn't like me saying this, my name for him is Penky Poo because he's one of my favorite people. He's one of my babies. He's one of my babies. He's
Only
what?
her.
Oh, yes,
Only you have that
that's it.
privilege now.
I am the only one that gets to call him Panky Poo. Yes.
Right,
He's
right.
one of my babies. So he's my nephew. So one of my nephews. So I actually remember when we found out when you were a baby, like I still remember you running around your little waddle bud, diaper running across the room. And I remember my sister being, yes, she was, I think before the term helicopter mom became a thing, that was her.
Oh
Just
yeah.
saying.
Oh yeah.
Like you couldn't breathe too hard. What's wrong? But at the time, what I remember hearing is that if you had sickle cell, the longest you can expect, the life expectancy was 9 years old. So I can understand why she was overprotective. And then after that, it was 19. And then
Mhm.
I think after that, I just stopped listening because if I listen to them, my
Right,
mind will then just be focused on, okay, I'm waiting for this demise. And
right.
at no point did I ever see you exhibit that. At no point did I ever see you use that as a limitation. If anything, I felt like it propelled you to do. And I don't know that you use it as I'm going to show you, but it seemed as though to you, it didn't deter you. It was just like, okay, that's what they say, but this is what I'm pursuing. Is
Mhm.
that hard to do, knowing that if you were to go out there and look it up, when you go to your doctor's office, when you go to the hospital, when you encounter others, you're seeing the devastated way that they're reacting to it. How do you not let that hold you back, limit you, or change your mindset and stall you from pursuing the things that you've set your mind to?
The great thing about that, and also she is my aunt and my fellow Aquarius. We are competitors. We're big competitors. We might be a little hard headed and stubborn with that, but
Um, can I
just a
relate to
little.
that? We are focused. We are
Yeah.
driven, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're driven.
Yes.
Some call it hard
Definitely.
headed. We're driven.
That's what we call it. And that's been with me since I can remember. Um, I never wanted anybody to tell me I couldn't do something. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to purposely do everything I can to show you that I can do it
Yeah.
and do it better than what you expected. Um, that's just been something with me my whole life. And My mom was definitely protective of me, but there wasn't, she never put doubt in my mind either. Um, she would rather say, okay, it's going to take some work, but you can do it.
Mhm.
Or, I definitely think you can do it. Um, and our family, we definitely have a group of matriarchs in our family. And seeing the strength and resilience, and the wisdom that I've got from all the women in our family, it will be crazy for me to have doubt in my mind or tell myself I can't do anything, um, with the people, the matriarchs in our family. Um, Now, me personally, is really, I had so much to accomplish, and I felt that in my spirit for the longest that there's a lot that I'm going to do in this world, and I can't let anything stop that from happening. Um, and I just looked at it as that, and there's just obstacles. There's nothing I can't do. There's just obstacles to get to that, but I will get to that. Um, so that's always the mindset that I had.
I think I realize every so often that I don't, or we don't have a full understanding of what a normal day for you is. I know we came for a visit recently and we're talking, we're laughing, we're having a great time. And later on, we're finding out you were standing there in some severe pain. I'm like, I didn't know it because
Yeah.
what's I'm a wimp. If it's cold, everyone knows I'm putting on 3 layers of clothes. And if I stub my toe, I'm
Yeah.
going to be in traction for a week. I can't move. And you're standing there engaging and laughing and having there's no way I would have thought you were in pain, much less such extreme pain. What what how would you describe a normal day when I won't even say when there's no pain? Maybe for you the pain meter is like 1 to 100, and you're operating at all times at 98. I don't know. So what is a normal day for you when the pain is tolerable, and a normal day when it's pretty bad and you need some intervention?
All right. That's definitely. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a big misconception as well that we have, and I'll go into it. So a typical day, I will say, there's never really a day that we can say that we're pain free.
Mm,
Um, the word pain free is not something that we can honestly say. However, people with sickle cell, they've lived with this all their lives. So, yes, we do handle pain a little differently. Um, so a regular day, is me doing, you know, I when I'm waking up in the morning, getting my kids ready for school, making their breakfast, taking them to the bus stop. Then from there, I do my regular activities. Um, but I'm always in my mind making sure I have my water handy, making sure that I'm staying hydrated. That's always something in my mind, as well as I do have to plan out certain days where I will look at the weather report and say, it's going to be a really rainy day.
mhm,
So it won't be smart for me to really be out in elements too much, or those days when it's 70 one day and 30 degrees the next day. It might be ideal to kind of sit this one out and kind of stay in the house as much as I can. But honestly, you know, in the real world, that's not possible all the time.
mhm,
Um, so in those situations, you just try your best to prepare and keep yourself, be proactive about what needs to be done. And I might tell somebody, instead of me meeting you up at 12, let's do 2. When
mhm,
the reality is, I'm just in some pain and I'm trying to
mhm.
control it so I can go out and do what I have to do. So,
So a little bit in a sensitive area, right? And maybe it's
mm-mm,
more sensitive for me because sensitive for me means angry. I'm a little bit of a, I get royally annoyed when people um, take advantage of, right? So I know that there are times when the pain is to the extent where you need to go to the hospital. And I remember you're saying sometimes, and even your sister saying sometimes, how the doctors or nurses view you or view anyone with sickle cell who has to come in for support. Tell us what that looks like, how that feels from your perspective, and why it is you feel that they have that reaction or that assumption.
Okay, so that kind of starts with one of my one of our my bad days. I'll start off
Yeah.
with where it's a very unexpected thing, or sometimes it can build up. Um, I will be honest with you, because of the situations in the hospital, I'm never usually the one to say I have to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always trying to stick it out and prevent myself as much as I can, to stay out of the hospital. And it's usually my wife nowadays that's just saying, "Hey, get up. I'm taking you,
No.
no matter what. You don't have any say in this anymore. We're taking you." And my wife can kind of see in my body in certain situations what's going on. So as I get myself prepared, and I'm in that ER room. There's prejudice. There is no other way I can say it,
Mm-hmm.
but pure prejudice. Because again, I will be in a crisis and I'll have very, very painful episodes, unbearable episodes. But because I've lived with this for 40 years, I'm not going to be that typical patient that walks in the ER screaming and
Mm-hmm.
hollering. There
Oh,
is no
God.
blood dripping from my face. There's no bone sticking out. Um, and like I said, you're not going to hear me screaming or making a fuss. I'm usually just pretty quiet and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to stay still as best as possible. Um, so with that, the prejudice comes in, and for uneducated medical professionals, they will see me and say, "You don't look like you're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look like anything's wrong with you. You're not screaming." I've had a doctor say, "Well, you look perfectly fine.
Wow.
Are you sure that you're going through a crisis?"
Seriously?
Yeah. It's happened a lot. It's a big problem. It is a big problem. And usually because of that, I'm usually waiting a longer time to be treated, because they want to see if I'm telling the truth. So they'll usually check my blood counts, um, to see any indicators of a crisis, which they always do. And I've had some medical professionals even come to me and apologize.
Oh, good.
I've had some that just act like nothing happened. But that's also a big misconception. And what's hurtful for other people with sickle cell is that, yes, you can do a blood test, but that's not always your indicator. There is no true indicator or 100% price, 100% correct thing that you can see in a blood test to say, yes, there's a crisis. They can just see certain things that are indicators, but there's no one thing that's 100% showing, yes, that's what's going on. So, in a situation like that, you might have a doctor saying, well, your lab results look fine. Do you really have this pain,
Wow.
or do you just want this pain medication? It's unfortunate because with our disease, the only thing that can really treat it is hydration, IV fluids, and pain medicine. That's just how our disease is. We didn't ask for it. We didn't make those rules. There's no other thing that can fix that crisis at that time. So why am I judged on that? And labeled as somebody that could be drug seeking. So that's a big problem in the community of people with sickle cell, and it's a everyday struggle. And so I'm glad to be able to speak and let let as much people as I can know that, there is a big problem.
There really is. And I think it's just such extreme unawareness. I think it's one of those that I know is not spoken about widely. It's not well known. And because of that, I think it's kind of disregarded as anything serious. I know when we do hear of the crisis, of you're going through a crisis and you're having to be in the hospital, we're praying for you. But I think also the network that forms, your praying family, but then your sister, my niece, who is an RN, who's like
Yeah,
basically she triggers her network. Like, look, my brother's coming in. You be
yeah,
on watch. You be on watch.
yeah.
Do you think that has helped in some way, or has benefited you in some way, whereas others may not have that network that's kind of has got their back?
Um, to be honest, I'm truly blessed because um, having that support system helps a lot. Um, like you said, I know I have some prayer warriors, and they help me out as as much as possible. And my sister at one point, she worked in the same hospital that I would go to for a couple years, and to be honest, I'm glad it's not, because she was going ballistic sometimes. So my sister's definitely a person that worries a lot. So
She's
in
her
a
mother's
selfish
daughter.
way, I'm kind of glad that she's not there anymore, to be, as worried about me as possible. But and she still finds out, so it
Uh-oh.
happens.
Mhm, mhm.
That's big sis, so she's always gonna find out, regardless. But it's something that's is needed. Having, like I said, being able to because I have been sick a lot recently, I've come into contact with a lot of nurses and doctors. And because of that, I've grown to have people that know me. So when I come through the door, I have not only my family to advocate for me, but I do have nurses there, some of the ER doctors, the hospitalists there, hematologists. They actually know me and they recognize me, so they're able to kind of advocate for me as well. So
Yeah.
that's a big help. One thing I would tell any person with sickle cell, um, yes, we deal with prejudice. The things that one of the things that can help a lot is having that network. So try to go to a hospital, that one hospital, as much as possible. If you're having an episode, go to that one hospital. Deal with doctors that are attached to a certain hospital or hematologists. Make sure you're seeing them frequently so they can monitor your blood results and kind of see your patterns, so they know the good you and the you when you're not feeling okay.
No,
Um,
that's really good advice. That is really
yeah,
good advice. And for family members who have someone in their family with sickle cell, what can you say to them to maybe help them be more empathetic, be more understanding, to show more compassion? What is it that you can say to them? Because they might also say, well, she looks fine, he looks fine, he's living his life. There's nothing wrong with him. Because if you have this debilitating disease, you should be disabled and just curl up in a corner. But what can you
right.
say to those family members or friends or extended, people in your circle about that?
Good question, because that's something that occurs and that's not widely talked about. Um, is the fact that sometimes you will have friends or family members that won't really believe you either, unfortunately, or like you said, be empathetic to what's going on. So I would say to them, um, sickle cell warriors have a good way of kind of keeping things inside. Um, they're not going to really express everything to everybody every single day, because if that was the case, they'll call you every minute just to say they're in pain. They don't want to do that. They don't want to tell everybody every 5 seconds, hey, this hurts. Hey, that hurts. I'm tired. I don't have the energy. Um, so it instead of us doing that, we just try to keep everything bottled in. And I understand that that would also, from the outside looking in, of course, somebody might say, well, I don't know. He hasn't said anything is wrong. Why is he, want to stand me up from our lunch date?
Mhm.
Or why aren't we going out to the party that we said we're going to go to? He just flaked on me. And the truth of the matter is, he's probably just going through something. They're going through some episodes. Like I said, it can be very spontaneous. Um, so I would say, just learning their habits, learning their routines and what it looks like when they're not feeling okay, or also just being a listening ear. Sometimes instead of passing that judgment or thinking something else, just ask the question. And because a lot of times we are going through certain things that we just don't want to speak about. Um, it can be a mental thing too, where it's just we're tired of saying we don't feel well. We're tired of it. Um, there are times we can be very restless, and I've had family members and friends that I've had interactions with like that. Like, it's 2 o'clock. Why are you laying down to take a nap? And the reality is, it's just I don't have the energy today. Like I said, it hurts when you can actually you also those blood cells die quicker than normal.
Mm. Oh,
Um,
wow.
so because those red blood cells will die off quicker than a regular blood cell, we can lose that energy. So sometimes we can be very tired just out of the blue, where we do have to just take a minute and and rest. And even my son will say, "Why are you laying down? Let's let's go play." So um, I just would just suggest to people that don't have it, just to ask a question. Understand they're not doing anything on purpose to you. They're not trying to, leave you alone, or they don't want to mess with you. It's not that. There's just always something going on, and it's just tiring for us to kind of just speak on that every time.
So is it okay, right? I don't want to like put the blame on anyone, but if in a family you would hope that everyone is aware enough or connected enough to know something like this that's happening in the family. But for those who might be tuned into a different stratosphere, what what is a good way to help them understand in the simplest form that you know what I have sickle cell and this is what it means. There are times I'm not going to have the energy. There are times when I need to cancel. There are times when what is the simplest way to just get that point across to them?
Good. That's the job of somebody with sickle cell as well. So speaking to the people that do have sickle cell, as I was saying for other people that they should, ask questions, find out, routines and patterns. Somebody with sickle cell should know that your family members, yes, they're your family, but they might not know everything. Even though they're a family member of yours or a close friend, they might know of the phrase sickle cell and say, "Hey, I know somebody with sickle cell," but they don't really know what comes with that.
Yeah.
So in a way, it is our duty as well to go to the people that we love and any friends, family members in our circle to let them know this is what's going on with me. There's sometimes I am, tired, exhausted. So please give me that grace. There are some times where things might happen off the cuff. Um, please understand that I'm not doing it on purpose. And just be there for me at that time. There are certain times where I may not want, somebody to touch me. So, even, so I have a wife and I have my children. So she has learned that, God bless her, where she's knowing that she might know, like, okay, it might not be the right time to jump on his back and give him a hug right now, you know. But that comes from me educating her as well. So I would say that's our responsibility as sickle cell warriors to kind of make sure that we are letting the people that we know as much as possible. Um, if somebody wants to go to a doctor's visit to the hematologist with you, if you just want to have a conversation, it's best to kind of do those type of things. So that's something that we have to do as well.
So you can think about the pendulum swinging, right? So the pendulum swings and it says, okay, I understand that sometimes he needs some downtime. Okay, I'll give him the grace. But then the pendulum swings in the complete opposite direction. Now it's like, no, don't go, don't touch him, don't. And then, oh dear you. And now they've basically, for lack of a better word, handicapped you. Because now,
Yes.
oh, he has this disease. Oh, he can't lift a finger. Oh, let me do everything for you. How do we just kind of get them to just settle firmly, at least just kind of rotate in the middle a little bit, not to one or the other extreme? How do we kind of bring them to the center?
Good question too, because like you said, somebody will feel the extreme for both, where there's a lot of time, most of the time in that middle. Um, so again, for us, we definitely have to communicate. Um, we have to just let people know what's our triggers, what's some things that might cause on other things for us. Um, Understand that sometimes there's just nothing that you can do to help us. There's no right thing to say at that time, but don't think that you're not doing enough. As well as people with sickle cell, they're independent. You have to understand that they're living with a disease, but when they're not going through any crisis or problems with their disease, they're normal people. So they don't want you to help them walk all the time or wash every plate for them. Sometimes they want to, they want to feel that independence because that independence is ripped away from them a lot during that crisis. Everything is stripped from us.
Hmm.
And I can talk for me personally. I love being that independent person. I love getting things done on my own. I don't want to be considered, handicapped or that I can't do something. That's back to that competitive spirit. I don't need anybody to help me when I'm feeling all right.
Mhm.
So it is just kind of learning each other's habits over time and learning what is best for them, what's not the best for them. But just understand that we are still people. um we're living with sickle cell, but we're just living with it. It's not who we are. So you have to understand that once they are doing something, let them do it. I can speak for me personally. A crazy thing that I like to do is when I'm feeling good, that's my mode of, you have to think, if I'm in the hospital, sometimes in the hospital for about 7 days. So when I get home and I start feeling better, my mindset is, I haven't taken care of my household in a week. I feel good now. So let me mulch my yard. Let me wash the cars. Let me wash those dishes. Let me vacuum. Let me mop.
So the stuff that we
So
might find mundane are the stuff that now are
right,
exciting to you.
exactly, because it's like, I can, I think a lot of people might feel that way too, but I can speak for myself where I'm in, I'm in such a go mode during that time. It's like, okay, I've been on my butt for a week. Get up and do something, be productive. And I might take that overboard. There's been times where I've gotten myself, right back. But
Mm.
I would just say allow that to happen. If that person is getting up and they're doing things, that means that they're feeling okay at that time. And I'll just say, let them go and have that. Don't try to say, hey, don't do that. Let me do it for you.
Hmm.
Because during the times that we are sick, we really can't do anything.
Yeah.
And we see the people that's working hard for us and helping us. So we want to do for them as well. And I'm like that to
Yeah.
the T. And that's usually how I am. Usually after the second day back home, I'm over the
All
place,
over. All
you
over.
know.